In January 1933, Hitler is appointed German Chancellor and is secretly becoming one of the country's wealthiest men. But he still lacks support among some key groups, including German workers. The Nazi propaganda machine polishes his image as a humble, down-to-earth leader.
The publicity machine of the Nazi Party, dominated by Goebbels, was ferociously efficient. It constructed an image of Hitler as an ordinary man, a man of the people, a man who had served bravely for 4 years in the trenches on the Western Front, a man who devoted himself, body and soul, to restoring the honor, the dignity, and the prosperity of the German people.
A speech to employees at a Berlin Siemens factory is a typical example.
Bin aus euch selbst herausgewachsen, bin einst selbst unter euch gestanden und habe mich dann durch Fleiß, durch Lernen und ich kann sagen durch Hungern langsam emporgearbeitet. In meinem innersten Wesen bin ich immer das geblieben, was ich vorher war.
But the saluting crowds are hoodwinked. In 1933, their humble leader is earning at least 40 times more than the average factory worker.
There was a certain kind of asceticism about his character, and he was fanatically devoted to his political goals. But the idea that he lived a sort of monkish existence, working night and day simply for the benefit of the German people, was a lie.
According to Hitler's tax file, his annual income amounts to over $5 million during the first year of his rise to power. Much of that income comes from the sales of his book, Mein Kampf. 1.5 million copies are sold in 1933 alone.
The royalties from Mein Kampf made Adolf Hitler a very rich man. After 1933, after Hitler became Chancellor, millions of copies of Mein Kampf were sold in Germany. It was translated into 16 languages. Millions of copies were sold all around the world. Hitler described his profession on his identity papers as writer, and that was true enough. He made a fortune.
But in 1934, a diligent junior tax officer traces this fortune and sends Hitler a steep tax bill.
This tax file shows that he only declares a fraction of his income, and according to the files of the tax office, at the end he owed at least 400,000 Deutschmarks, which was an immense fortune in those days.
The Reich Chancellor is not amused and orders a secretary from the Ministry of Finance to intervene.
By the mid-1930s, Hitler is a multi-millionaire, but despite this, he asks for his tax file to be more or less closed. The tax authorities follow his request. It would be unthinkable that a chancellor today might ask not to pay any taxes.
The tax officer is ordered to make an exception for Hitler. The head of the Munich tax office declares all tax reports delivering substance for a tax obligation by the Führer are annulled from the start. The Führer is therefore tax exempt. Hitler's tax file is closed, and he doesn't pay a penny of tax for the rest of his life.